Hey, it's time for the Ylose Campus podcast. I am Lance Taylor, and we are ready to roll into week 3 of the college football season. Just want to remind you real quick, you can get our daily packages for $49, our weekly for $99, our monthly for $2.99. It is that simple. Go to Ylose Campus /Lance, jump on board, and start winning with us. Before we get into this, and we're going to preview 8 games, we got some big time guests joining us. The coach, Rick Bowe, will jump on. He has got a game that he is eyeballing right now. The prop master, Luke Shuey, is going to jump on with us as well. So we'll get to those guys in a little bit. Want to let you know that we're going to be going through 8 games right here on the Ylose Campus Pod. But very, very important to let you guys know, we have a 50-star max bet that we are hovering over. We saw it when this number was released on Sunday. I salivate more and more as the days lead up to week 3 here in college football. The way it works is you jump on board with us, you buy a day pass, and again, you get the daily for $49. We don't get this 50-star max unit bet right. You get a week free. You buy the weekly pass, $99, and we don't get this 50-star max bet correct. That means you get a month free. It's that simple. Jump on with us and win at Ylose Campus, the Ylose podcast right now. Lance Taylor, really excited about this week 3. Not great matchups, I'll give you that, but who cares? You know what makes a better matchup? When you have money on the winning side or total of these games. We're going to start first. Not my neck of the woods, but a team that I cover, and that is the Alabama Crimson Tide, heading up to Madison to take on Wisconsin. This game that I had planned on going to. We planned this when it was announced the home and home a few years ago. I've always wanted to go to Camp Randall. I'm not going to make it this weekend. Hotel rooms, 3-night minimum, like $700-800 at shit hole roach motels. So I'm going to pass on this. I'm going to watch it from the couch. Got a new really cool TV setup. So excited about that. Alabama last week, we had South Florida plus 31.5. I would say you never had to sweat this game until Alabama decided to go on a 28-0 run to end the fourth quarter, and this score was very deceiving. Alabama led 14-13 after 3 quarters. Byron Brown, a really talented athletic quarterback for Alex Golesh, was able to run the football at will on this Alabama team. He got beat to death, but 23 carries, 108 yards. If he could accurately throw the football, there's a chance Alabama would have lost this game. With all that said, Alabama 13 penalties, 3 turnovers. Now they take on a Wisconsin team that has scored 28 against Western Michigan. By the way, we had Western Michigan in that game. If you go back and watch, Western Michigan led 14-13. Special teams fumble, flipped the entire game late in the second half. Wisconsin ends up winning that game, a game really that they were evenly matched, I thought, with the Broncos. Then they score 27 on South Dakota. This was supposed to be the year, Luke Fickell year 2, this Phil Longo offense that I think Wisconsin fans probably hate as much as Nebraska fans hated the Bill Callahan era. But Tyler Van Dyke, I thought was going to be an upgrade at the quarterback position from Tanner Mordecai. He has averaged under 6.5 yards per passing attempt. That is not good. And this is through 2 games. Even worse, Ches Malusi, a guy that's got the full-time action in the backfield now that Braylon Allen is on to the New York Jets, he's averaged less than 4 yards per carry. He has had 1 rush through 2 games against these opponents that I'm telling you about in Western Michigan and South Dakota. 1 rush that has gone more than 10 yards. The offense has been awful. And this Alabama defense, say what you want about Western Kentucky, Tyson Helton has an offense that can sling it around. Alabama shut them out. And really, South Florida, as good as Byron Brown was on the ground, they still only scored 16 points, and that was with the 3 turnovers from Alabama. Alabama's defense will absolutely shut down this Wisconsin team. This is a 12 o'clock kick game, the big noon kickoff on Fox. Alabama's only other trip to Madison, just a little small nugget for you guys. Way back when, 1928, the Badgers won that one 15-0. Zero chance that happens. Jalen Milroe almost 500 total yards through 2 games, ground and air, and 9 total touchdowns. This Alabama offense under first-year play caller Nick Sheridan, averaging right at 500 yards per game. I like Alabama big, minus 16.5. Who would have thought Wisconsin would catch those kind of points in Camp Randall? And there he is, right on time, the prop master, Luke Shuey. Remember, Ylose prop channel, ylose.com/props to get all of the incredible props from our man, Luke, welcome in. This is a game that I don't know if Alabama fans are excited. You know where I originate from. This was a game I think Alabama fans were more excited about last year. There's a lot of people traveling up to go to Camp Randall. But Alabama, massive 16 and a half point favorite. Wisconsin has looked like dog shit offensively the last couple of weeks. But you have seen something in this game prop wise that you like. Talk to us.
Yeah, I agree. This is a big time game. Wisconsin fans, this is their Super Bowl for the last several seasons, and their team just has been horrible for the last couple of years. So it feels like less of a Super Bowl these days. And for that reason, I hate to say it, but we're going with a roll tide prop here. We're actually looking at Jalen Milroe. He's one of the most electric guys in all of college football, facing a defense that just has been really, really average for 2 weeks in Wisconsin's back end. In fact, they rank 66th in the country in stopping the run. So Jalen Milroe is going to run all over him, right? I say not so fast. I say they do lock down on the run a bit and force the man to air out the ball. If we look at the stats last week, it looks like Bama ran the ball okay. But if you take away their 2 huge touchdown runs in the second half, they only had 2.8 yards per carry against Southern Florida. I think Wisconsin can at least be okay up front, force Milroe to take the ball to the air, and look at five-star freshman receiver Ryan Williams. He has 3 big touchdowns. If he can just make 1 or 2 big plays through the air, I love Milroe's over here. He has it at 211 and a half passing yards. I think that goes over, Lance. I really do. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I kind of agree with this. I was asked earlier today what the strength of Wisconsin's defense was, and I believe it's the linebackers. I think Luke Fickell is going to do everything in his power to make Alabama beat them with Jalen Milroe's arm. And not a lot of opportunities against Western Kentucky. You ended up seeing 3 quarterbacks in that game. Milroe only threw the ball 26 times last week because he was limited with the pressure South Florida was getting. I like where you are right here. I think they want to show. And by the way, you brought this up. Jalen Milroe last year, the intermediate, the short routes, those are the areas he struggles. He throws an incredible deep ball, even going back to last year. So I think they will take some opportunities early and often. Hell, who knows? Maybe you got this prop locked in with 10 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Right. I want to hit this early. I want it to be sweat free. And you brought up last season. I think one of my favorite stats to cap this off is looking back at last year, you don't really think that he was throwing the ball a ton, but he hit over 211 and a half yards in 8 of 11 games. So he can get there. And I think he does on another big stage at a team that's looking to force him to throw.
Well, I'm going to plagiarize. I like the over 211 and a half. Now, I liked Bama in this game. I said I like Bama minus 16 and a half. If they're going to cover, obviously they got to have big plays, and explosive plays have been the name of the game. And Nick Sheridan and Kalen DeBoer's offense through 2 games. But there he is, the prop master, Ylose prop channel, ylose.com/props. Luke Shuey. You can get all of his props this Saturday, week 3. He's going to crush it for you. Luke, we appreciate you jumping on. Looking forward to doing this each and every week moving forward through the college football season.
Thanks for having me, Lance. Appreciate it. We'll be on here weekly. And this week, roll tide, baby.
There you go. A big roll tide for all of the Alabama fans out there. The prop master, Luke Shuey, right here on, again, Ylose prop channel, Ylose prop channel. Check out all of his incredible stuff right there. This is the Ylose Campus Podcast. We've got Coach Rick coming up here shortly. Again, daily package $49, weekly $99, monthly $299, ylosecampus.com/Lance. That is your first winner here on the Ylose Campus Pod. Again, ylosecampus.com/Lance. You can get all the plays. We are going to absolutely crush it for you. Daily $49, weekly $99, monthly $299, and we have that 50-star max bet that is guaranteed for you guys coming up. Next game we're going to look at, also a noon kick, ESPN, Memphis at Florida State. Florida State has not only lost once, they have lost twice as double-digit favorites. This is a team that bitched and moaned that they should have been in the college football playoff after going 12-0, winning the ACC championship game at 13-0. They get snubbed. They shouldn't have been in based on the fact that Jordan Travis was out for the year, and we saw what happened after he was done. The offense was absolutely pathetic against Louisville. And then in the bowl game, obviously, was non-existent against Georgia. And we're seeing that kind of quarterback play right now from DJ Uiagalelei. Florida State, I don't know what to think about this team. I think the bye coming as early as it did benefits Florida State. Seth Hennigan on the other side from Memphis, really good Group 5 quarterback. This is a guy that is back for his fourth season. So far this year, 42 of 60, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Mike Norvell is going against his former team. But when you start to look at this Florida State offense, 17th of 17th right now in the ACC in total offense, in scoring offense, in rushing offense. Mario Anderson is the guy if Memphis has a shot to put Florida State at 0-3 on the other side running the football, averaging over 6 yards a carry, already 4 touchdowns for the Tigers. I do think this Memphis team, which is one of the 3 or 4 favorites to grab an auto bid, is a slightly overrated. I don't think Florida State is as bad as they've looked. Georgia Tech, solid. I know Georgia Tech lost this past week to Syracuse. Syracuse, by the way, better than advertised. Obviously, Thomas Castellano has given Florida State problems the last couple of years. It is a ranked team now in BC. Still, games Florida State should have won. With all that said, I think you're getting value here. If this game was week 1, Memphis, you're probably catching anywhere between 14.5 and 17.5. Now the number has dived to 6.5 because you're talking about an 0-2 Noles team. I will tell you this. If the Noles, after a bye to a Group 5 team, drop to 0-3, they will never see the top 25 again this year. I'm not saying they will anyway. It would be an absolute, utter disaster for Mike Norvell, who built up so much equity over the last 2 years. In 2022, winning 10 games, and then last year, winning the 13 games and winning the ACC. But boy, you lose this game, it is a problem. I like Florida State, though, minus the 6.5. I think they bounce back after the bye weekend, and I think they take care of business. And again, I think you're getting value just based on their athletes that are there. Again, this is the Ylose Campus Pod. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends. We really appreciate that. We're going to be doing it once a week. We've got some special guests that will jump on with us. Coach Rick is going to jump on with us. The prop master, Luke, will jump on with us. They've eyeballed a couple of games they're really excited about. And we've got a game that we have been hovering above, 50-star max bet. You buy the day pass. We don't get the 50-star max bet right. You get the week free. You buy the weekly, we don't get it right, you get the month. It's that simple. Next game we're taking a look at, we are going to the Swamp. The Florida Gators hosting Texas A&M. I did say before the year Texas A&M would be favored, a slight favorite in this game. I thought a lot was dependent upon week 1 and how good the Aggies looked against Notre Dame. Now that loss looks worse. And how good Florida looked against Miami. They looked awful against Miami. Now, DJ Lagway, freshman quarterback, gets the start this past week because Graham Mertz is in concussion protocol. And I said this on my daily show. I think this is the best move for Billy Napier based on this. Billy Napier has a $24 million buyout. More than likely, Florida wouldn't pay that right now unless it's an absolute 3-9, 4-8 like disaster. And with his schedule, that could happen. The problem is on the other side of this game, Texas A&M paid a shit ton of money to get rid of Jimbo Fisher. So Florida fans will look to that and be like, they did it. We're in the SEC. I know you got this oil money, but we can afford to get rid of Billy Napier. Billy Napier's best play now is to go with the future, which is DJ Lagway. And you go back and look, and I know it was against FCS last week, but Lagway torched the Sanford Bulldogs, 456 yards, 3 touchdowns in that 45-7 win. The Aggies, they've lost 10 straight road games. Their last road win against Missouri back in 2021. That is the second longest active streak in the FBS right now. The only team to lose more consecutive road games, the Temple Owls. This is not a conversation if you're an A&M fan that you want to be involved with the Temple Owls. Florida, though, they haven't beaten an FBS team since last October in South Carolina. They've lost 6 straight. Something's got to give. I think the difference here, Montrell Johnson taking pressure off the freshman quarterback, DJ Lagway. I think Florida keeps this one extremely close. Connor Wegman, I thought was going to be better for A&M. He might ultimately get there. He struggled in week 1 against a Notre Dame team that obviously lost to Northern Illinois. I will take the Gators plus 4.5. We go now, 2:30 game, ESPN, or 3:30, I should say, Tulane at Oklahoma. Oklahoma finished with its fewest points against Houston, fewest total yards, versus an unranked non-conference team since 2005. They go out 12 points against Houston, only 249 total yards. The offensive line has been beyond shaky. Even when we had Oklahoma week 1 against Temple and they ended up covering that massive number, I still thought the offensive line trying to protect Jackson Arnold did not look good. They're on their third center already this year. They only had 75 rushing yards last week against a bad Houston team. And now they're going against a redshirt freshman quarterback in Darian Mensah, who I thought was pretty good against Kansas State. And I think that was, to me, this is kind of the difference on where Tulane is right now. John Summerall's first year as Tulane's head coach, Willie Fritz on to Houston. Summerall comes in from Troy, and he looks the part. And this Tulane team with Hughes running the football, I think pretty good. Through 2 games, Oklahoma leads the nation right now with 8 turnovers. Tulane has lost 12 straight versus the SEC. Their last win against the SEC back in 2006 to Mississippi State. Tulane has got to find a way to play clean football because Oklahoma is only winning games, and especially last week against Houston based on the turnovers. The offensive line is not good. I think Tulane will have some opportunities against this Venables defense. With all that said, I lean Tulane, but I think I like the over 47.5 more. I don't like that the total is in the 40s. You typically never see that with a Tulane team, or excuse me, an Oklahoma team. But this Oklahoma team has trouble with the offensive line. I still think that could lead to some pressure on Jackson Arnold. He is obviously a quarterback that we have seen turn it over to high volume and through his first 3 starts in college football. And I think Tulane gets some short fields. I think it's a really interesting game, but I'm going to take the over 47.5 here. Again, this is the Ylose Campus Podcast, ylose.com/Lance. Get all the plays there, daily 49, weekly 99, monthly 299. We've got a 50-star max bet that we are eyeing right now. We don't get it right. You buy a day pass, you get the week free. You buy the week pass, we don't get that right, then you get the monthly pass. It is that easy. The next game we're taking a look at, Notre Dame heads to West Lafayette to take on Purdue. Notre Dame was the team that I forgot exactly what the odds were going into the season, whether or not they would make the college football playoff. With that brand, they need to go 10-2, and more than likely they're in. Now you start to dissect that schedule, and not so sure, because they probably only have 2 more ranked teams on the schedule in Louisville and USC. But after going into College Station, everybody said, book it. If there is one team that's in the college football playoff, it is the Irish. Next week, 4-touchdown favorite against Northern Illinois. What happens? Riley Leonard didn't play well, gets banged up, and the Huskies go for 190 on the ground, and they shock the world, knocking off Notre Dame 16-14. The Irish 3 of 10 on third downs. They were -3 in turnovers. You can't do that and win football games. It's as simple as that. With all that said, I think this is a bounce back spot for Notre Dame. Hudson Card, a quarterback that I've seen before at Texas, not very good. Was great last week for Purdue in their only action this season, going 24-25, 4 touchdowns, no picks. I know Riley Leonard is questionable. He's going to be wearing more than likely a shoulder harness. But I think Jeremiah Love running the football will be the difference for the Irish. The Purdue has lost 8 straight to Notre Dame. If Notre Dame is not super focused, and by the way, I saw an article today, is Marcus Freeman the right man for Notre Dame? Silly talk this early. I know it was an awful loss, but I think Marcus Freeman and this squad, they bounce back. I'm laying 10 on the road with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Hey, and there he is, Coach Rick Bowe. We're talking about it. Notre Dame coming off maybe the biggest shocking result of this young college football season, now in West Lafayette. This number is still double digits. I really don't know what to expect from Purdue. Coach, I know you've got a big play on Notre Dame Purdue this weekend.
I do, and I kind of look at it from a different perspective because I actually, most of you guys from the Ylose Network know that I actually am a coach, and I actually have coached the backup quarterback at Purdue. So I have looked at this game actually from more of a coach perspective, and I know a little bit about Purdue, and we've all seen what happened to Notre Dame, and I think there's a tendency to overreact, but Notre Dame, honestly, like, they're not very good on offense. Riley Leonard isn't Sam Hartman, and they're going to run the football. So I think they'll They'll concentrate on running the ball, especially early. And I think Purdue, from what I know about them and being an air raid team and how they sometimes struggle against elite defenses, I think they're going to have a hard time in the first half. And eventually, I think what's going to happen and what I hope will happen is that my guy, Ryan Brown, number 15, is going to enter the game in the second half as the quarterback. But that leads me to the play. And the play is, I think it's going to be a first half where you see Notre Dame run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Purdue gets a 3 and out, maybe once in a while they get a first down and, 5-6 plays and punt the ball away. And they go back and forth, and Notre Dame kicks a field goal here. Maybe they score a touchdown. But I believe this first half total goes under 23.5.
So there you go, under the 23.5 Notre Dame Purdue first half. That is from Coach Rick Bowe, ylose.com/coach. You can check him out right there. He's got a ton of plays for you this Saturday, ylose.com/coach. There you go. Always fun to pull for those unders, right, Coach?
Absolutely.
Hey, as long as we're winning.
That's right.
Hey, really appreciate it, Rick. Good luck today, man. Thanks for jumping on with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Lance. Appreciate it.
That's him, Coach Rick Bowe, again, right here on the Ylose Campus Podcast. If you want Coach Rick's plays, very simple, go ylose.com/coach. Nice play there, and that kick time, 3:30 CBS. The Backyard Brawl is back. The 107th edition of the Backyard Brawl, the one that I remember most. I got to go back to 2006, and all West Virginia had to do under Rich Rodriguez was win that game as a massive favorite. And I'm trying to remember, I think the number was like 28.5. And they went out and they shit the bed. The offense could do absolutely nothing. It was West Virginia's opportunity to actually play for a national championship in the old BCS setup before we had the 14 playoff. Didn't happen. They lost the game, but that's the one that jumps out to me the most. Eli Holstein is a guy that saw in spots in Alabama, never played, but in practice. Back-to-back 300-plus games, but I thought he was shaky last week. Look, great comeback for Pittsburgh. They were dead to rights against Cincinnati, but they were able to come back from 21 down to win that game. I know West Virginia is still reeling from that week 1 loss to Penn State. I do have confidence that Garrett Green is still a quarterback that is so he's such a versatile guy. His ability to beat you with the legs could be the difference here. And C.J. Donaldson, West Virginia's won 5 of the last 6 in this matchup. I like West Va minus the 1.5 on the road in Pitt. That's a 3:30 ESPN2 game. Again, reminding you, Ylose Campus Pod, like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. We would appreciate that. My name is Lance Taylor. We do this every single week. You can get my daily plays for $49, weekly $99, monthly $249, and we have a 50-star max bet with a guarantee on the backside of that we will give you here in just a couple of minutes. The Apple Cup. How in the hell are we playing an Apple Cup in the middle of September? It makes no sense. I like the old freezing rain in Pullman or a little snow dropping at Husky Stadium. And not going to be the case. Neutral site, Lumen Field. Washington opens as a 4.5-point favorite. Washington has beaten Weber State. They've beaten Eastern Michigan. They've got 20 new starters, and one of those new starters is a transfer quarterback in Will Rogers, who I have seen a ton of reps from. He's been really good, 41 of 52, completing almost 79% of his passes, 5 touchdowns, no picks. Washington State completely torched me last week. Double down. I rarely will play a side and a total in the same game. I like to focus on either side or total, but I decided to play Texas Tech, and I decided to play the over. For the record, didn't get either one. So Washington State destroys Portland State. They lay a 70 spot on them in week 1, and then they come back, and they dominated Texas Tech from the jump, 37-16. John Metter is another one of these quarterbacks, much like Garrett Green, that can get it done with his legs. He is Wazoo's leading rusher with 252 yards and a couple of touchdowns. They've got a big play receiver in Kyle Williams. This game, I think, comes down to it. It's obviously for Jed Fish in his first year, very important to win the Apple Cup. And you look at Washington, they've won 9 of the last 10 Apple Cups. But on the other side, this is like a Super Bowl for Washington State, who was the banished child, who, ousted after the Pac-12 busted up. Nobody wanted them. And now they have an opportunity to, this would be a special win for Washington State. 3:30 Peacock. If you're a sucker like me, you subscribed to that last Friday night where you could watch the Eagles in Green Bay, and then last Saturday night where you could check out Boise and Oregon. Fish's offense crushed Wazoo last year, putting up 44 points and over 500 yards of offense. This will be the first Apple Cup with 2 unbeaten since 1935. This one makes a little bit more sense because, again, we're in the middle of September. I like Wazoo, though. I like them plus the 4.5. I think it just means more. We say that here in the SEC, but I think for Wazoo, it means more. One primetime game for you, ABC. Georgia heads to Lexington to take on Kentucky. One of the, if not the most pathetic performances I saw last week was Kentucky, where they completely shit the bed and score 6 points on an awful South Carolina team. Lenora Sellers was so bad against Old Dominion. Old Dominion turned it over 4 times, still only lost by a possession. South Carolina, I did not see this coming. Brock Vanderdrift was so bad, a quarterback they paid reportedly $750,000 for, to transfer for Georgia, the opponent this week, by the way, to come in 3 of 10 for 30 yards and a pick. Absolutely pathetic. Kentucky, 183 total yards, 3 of 14 on third downs, 11 penalties, a couple of turnovers. They were awful. And now you've got a Georgia team that rolls in. They've won both of their games by a combined 82-6. Now, Clemson's Clemson. Tennessee Tech, another story, but still, Georgia has been flat out dominant. 41 straight regular season wins. You've got to go back to the world's largest tailgate, or the world's largest cocktail party, I should say. They've tried to rename it, which is so silly, in Jacksonville, Florida in 2020. Back in the pandemic. Think about how far back that goes. That is the last time the Georgia Bulldogs have lost a regular season game to Florida. So they've won 27 straight conference regular season games. They've won 41 straight regular season games overall. Stoops is 0-11 against Georgia. Only one of these games decided by single digits. And the Wildcats 3-17 all time against number 1 teams. I think we will call this a dick whipping. I think that's what it is. I am laying the 24.5, and I actually feel good about it. I think Georgia, the defensive confidence is already there. It's almost like they make their defenders in a lab. They just print these guys. They put them out there, see ball, get ball, completely dominant. Just ferocious defense all the time under Kirby Smart. Carson Beck is starting to identify these weapons. Trevor Etienne, back from the suspension after 1 game, was pretty good, 73 yards last week in that win over Tennessee Tech. He's going to get a lot more carries this week, and I think this Georgia team pops. I like Georgia minus the 24.5. So there it is. That's your Ylose Campus podcast with our great guest joining us today. Again, daily package here for me, $49, the weekly $99, the monthly $299, and we have a 50-star max bet for you this weekend, this Saturday. If we don't get it right, you buy a day pass, guess what? We're going to give you a week. You buy that week pass, we don't get it right, we're going to give you a month. It's that simple. We want you to win. We want to get after it here in week 3. Like, subscribe, share. We would appreciate that. It's the Ylose Campus Pod, ylosecampus.com/Lance.